me so happy. My name's Eric Love. I'm the Director of Education here at Northern Stage, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Stories of White River Junction. Take a moment to turn off your cell phones. There's no photography or videotaping of any kind permitted during the performance, except CATV, who's actually videotaping us, and it's going to look really great, and we can share copies, and it's going to be awesome. So this is the Youth Ensemble Studio. The Youth Ensemble Studio is a group of 32 actors from 7th grade to 12th grade who do 3 shows a year, and you're about to see 11 of those 32 actors. This show was done with 12, but one of the actors couldn't make it here because there's a problem with their family right now and they need to be with them. So one of our actors is in Boston. So we have Maya, a boot camp apprentice, filling in, which is why she's going to come and do a monologue for us. This show did not exist 3 weeks ago, so it's a devised theater piece. And the idea was, why is White River Junction such a special town, and who are the people that make up this really exciting, dynamic community? So when I moved here 5 years ago, a lot of people would say, whoa, you should have seen what White River Junction looked like even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. There were strip clubs, and it was sketchy, and I wouldn't have been caught downtown after dark. And so I was like, really? What are you talking about? And now, even since I've been here, I felt this huge surge of new businesses coming to White River, and this really exciting place to be. So I said, let's bring the Youth Ensemble Studio, and we interviewed 22 business owners in downtown White River Junction. That was week 1. We had 12 hours of interview footage, and we talked about questions like, what inspired you to choose your chosen profession? Why did you come and open your business in downtown White River Junction, of all places? Tell us a fun day in the life, tell us a difficult day in the life. And then we finished with the same question for everyone. We said, what does community mean to you? And we got a really beautiful array of answers, and so we used that as the thread to weave these 22 monologues together. We also chose 4 songs from musical theater, one from Hamilton, Hadestown, Waitress, and Once on This Island, rewrote the lyrics to be the pillars of our show, to express the themes of our show to you in music. So week 2, we had 12 hours of footage. We sat down around a writer's table, and we read the transcripts. And we said, oh, I love this story. Oh, this story gets a little long. Can we trim it a little here? And we got 12 hours down to an hour and a half. And it was like, oh, that's too long. So then we got down to an hour, and then we condensed it even more to 45 minutes. So it's a gem of a piece with the goal of showing the portrait of this town. And then week 3, Michael Zoldos, our jazz master extraordinaire, joined us. Michael, we did a presentation, our first read-through of the script for him, and he was noodling at the piano and playing on the saxophone, and he orchestrated the show, listening to the stories and the themes from these stories. I think another thing that I'm so excited about are the fact that we have many of the business owners in the house today. So if you were interviewed for this project, will you just raise your hands real quick? Yeah. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days, sharing your personal stories, and I know huge props to the brave young people who are going to embody you for you. So you guys are awesome. So then, what else? We have a little curated gallery that we collaborated with Rachel Obard of the Long River Gallery to have pictures and images from White River Junction. So as you're going out, you can look up there and see a beautiful art gallery inspired by this show. And then afterwards, we're going to go into Schleicher, anyone who would like to. There's a reception, and we're going to have a talk back with any of our business owners who are able to stay, and we can answer questions about creating the show or whatever else you want to know. So right after the show is done, we're going to go out this way, and we'll lead you back to Schleicher for some snacks and conversation. Great. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome up the Youth Ensemble Studio and our first presenter, David Briggs, who is going to tell you about the mural in the Vermont room at the Hotel Coolidge. Welcome, David.
Welcome to the Vermont room at the Hotel Coolidge. This mural was painted in 1949 by a Dartmouth graduate named Peter Michael Gish. It's the story of Vermont. That's the Connecticut River. That's Mount Ascutney. See the ghost in the sky? That's an Iroquois Indian mask. Then we see the scenes of pioneers building log cabins, swinging the axe. The artist reminds us that Vermont has 4 seasons, so there's snow. That's Camel's Hump. That's Mount Mansfield. This is the pioneer couple. Can anyone guess what's going on here? Birthing. Pioneer style. At home without a doctor. The husband is relieved his wife didn't die in childbirth. See the militiamen there? Well, we don't call them militiamen here in Vermont. What do we call them? Green Mountain Boys. The barn-raising scene reminds us that we've gone from rough logs to hand-hewn timbers, community, people living and working together in harmony. See that train in the corner there? That's a really big part of the Vermont story. Our natural resources are copper, granite, marble, slate, timber, dairy, big products that take a lot of effort to get to market. Yes, the railroad is central to the stories of White River Junction.
Once upon a time there was a railroad town that fell on hard times all around. Now enjoying a renaissance. White River Junction, Vermont, was a boom town, never a bus town, full of stories from way back when. A bus town, now a boom town, stories from our friends. This town is a gem of precious things. On temple of ours to laugh and sing. A vibrant theater is always a plus. Northern Stage, that's us. Working just as hard for you. Let's hear what Michael's all us can do. It was a boom town, a bus town, old stories from way back when. A bus town, now a boom town, stories from our friends. It's an old song, a tale of a town that never dies. It's a new song about a town. Rise.
You might think that White River is a really small, nowhere place, but it's like an onion. It's got layers and layers.
There were a lot of rough and tumble types coming from the hotels and the railroads.
If you went in the tip-top media arts building, there were 200 people making white bread 24 hours a day. If you went to Northern Stage, you could buy a Cadillac.
When I arrived here in the 80s, White River was slowly falling apart. All of the new flashy stuff was going to West Lev. Believe it or not, the Kmart Plaza was once a hip place.
The kind of town nobody went to, ever. There was drugs and crime. There used to be a strip club up by the bowling alley. Actually, there were 2. One burned down.
White River has come so far. Before, I wouldn't even leave my car here overnight. It's not like there was crime. It was just people who... It wasn't that they were... It was just a very
a different feel.
Pretty rough and tumble.
The town wasn't too shiny.
Years ago, I came downtown doing social work. It was scary.
When I was growing up here, your parents would not have allowed you in downtown White River. It was too dangerous. So now that it is this beautiful, safe, inclusive community is really exciting.
Joan Ecker, Fat Hat Clothing Company.
We make 30,000 garments a year and sell to 250 stores around the country. We've been doing this for 40 years. My inspiration was poverty. I started when I was on food stamps as a single mom living in a tent. It's true. I had a treadle sewing machine, no electricity, and I made my first hat there. So the hat starts like a little sack. You roll it up twice and put it on, like this. Silly, right? Then you take about 2 inches and you pull it down and you wear it like a beret. Or you can wear it like a turban. Or a beanie. We sold them out of a barrel at craft shows all over the eastern part of the country. One day I said, oh God, I'm not thin enough. So I'm going to make clothes that cover my body. So I started doing all sorts of things to make people feel good about what they wore. People come in and they're too short, too tall, too thin, too fat. We'll remake our clothing so it fits them perfectly. This is what I do all day. I'm sketching. I'm sourcing fabrics from around the country. Here's a picture. Do I like that? Nah, I don't like that because I hate where the zipper is. What about these colors for linens? Yuck. But my staff loves them. Who's going to win? Sometimes I'll lose. I just showed a new collection in New York. It's dots and stripes. We started giving our hats away to chemo patients, free. So we have patients from all over the country thanking us for the magic hat. There was one woman, and it's hard for me to tell you this without crying. There's one woman who came every year to me, and she always had her hat. And each year, I would give her a new hat. And literally, she clung to them with all of her life. Then one year, her husband came back. She had died. And he said that the hat was the most magical thing that had ever happened to her. It kills me even now to tell that story. Community means family. One strong thread that holds us together. Where you have a space and you walk into it and it wraps its arms around you.
Vermont Salvage.
How it started was me and my brother decided to work together taking down old barns. We would find all kinds of junk within these barns, and we'd start having little yard sales. And that evolved into Vermont Salvage. Back in the day, I had 2 yellow labs, and we used to hop in the truck in the morning and drive to whatever demolition job we were doing. We used to do churches, state mental hospitals, and military bases. We recycle a lot of stuff. We save a lot of stuff. We hold on to the past. There was this little church way up in the hills of Vermont. I was all by myself with my tools and my 2 dogs, and it was pouring rain. I loaded the truck with the church pews and the stained glass, and then I was kind of snooping around, which is always the fun part of the job. You get to look for treasures. So, I go to the top of the steeple, and there's this big brass bell. And I'm like, I gotta get it. Then I thought, how am I gonna do it? So I looked at it, and I went down below, and I found all these old tables and hymnals and Bibles, and I just piled them all up. And I went up top, and I cut a hole in the roof below the bell, and I stood back with my chainsaw, and I cut the cradle. The bell shot down, and it hit the pile of stuff, and it went right through the floor. opened the cradle door, hooked it to my truck, and dragged it out of the basement and brought it home. That was the proudest salvage job I ever did. Last year, somebody wrote, "The legendary Vermont salvage." And I thought, legendary? Holy moly, I'm legendary! I walked around my house going, I'm legendary. Community is, you know, just good to be a part of everything. Someday, I hope my son will take over and will be part of the community forever.
Blaisdell, Lampscapes, Mark Estes, Junction Frame Shop.
In the machinery business as a salesman.
I wanted to be an artist.
I had access to the machine shop and I thought a lamp would be easy. So I made a lamp. I had a hobby of painting, so I painted a shade and I thought, oh my god, look at how that lights up.
I got a show for my paintings, but I needed to get them framed. So I went into a frame shop, and one thing led to another, and I got a job there. A few years later, I decided it was time to open my own shop.
We make the lamps from repurposed materials. The floor lamps are made from brake rotors. That clarinet stand is on the sewing machine wheel. And that curved one over there, the bottom is a barbell.
There's two ways to go about framing. One is to show off the art itself, to give it a feel to exist in, to separate it from the other items in the room. However, sometimes they just want it to match their couch.
Community is being able to work with all the people around the block.
Community is people getting along and sharing ideas. Simple as that.
David Fairbanks Ford, Main Street Museum.
I have no idea what this profession is. I have absolutely no idea. This old fire station from 1893 came up on the market. There was an auction. I was the only one at the auction. I had to evict the pigeons and raccoons. We've repeatedly had people come in and say,
I've never been in a museum before. Can I come in?
yeah, you can come in. It's a museum. It doesn't mean it has to be restricted. It doesn't mean it has to be quiet. It doesn't mean it has to do anything. You can come here and put stuff on display. Many people have valuable items and they just don't know it. The story the object took to get here is often the value of the object. We fit in people's lives in a way they can relate to. Even if they have no specialized knowledge, they can still come in. We are barrier free. There was the old fire chief who came in, Chief Durancy. He was about 90 years old, 6'5". He was wearing his Fire District 1 red satin jacket, and he's really proud of it. He wanted to see me and see the place. He was very pleased. He was glad I was very public. That makes sense from an old-time White River person. This was always a very hospitable town. We have never met a stranger, only friends we haven't met yet.
Matt Busey, entrepreneur.
I have a hard time staying focused on one thing. I'm a filmmaker, cinematographer, photographer, graphic designer, software engineer, architect, painter, so kind of all over the map, but generally in the arts. I'm also a business guy, but that was just kind of by necessity. I had to figure it out in order to not go broke. My business education was sitting down with a spreadsheet for 2.5 weeks, and I just went through all the financial functions until I figured out what they did. And then I was like, okay, I went to business school. I wandered in the Tip Top building one day and asked them if I could rent an empty space to make a rough. Like,
But you could buy the building.
and I was like, what? It was just this big, hulking, empty building. The roof was shot, water was pouring through it. It looked like a scene from a dystopian, futuristic movie. It was beautiful. It was a bakery, so they had huge pipes of flour, sugar, and lard. The lard pipes were broken in places, so there were just cones of lard slowly building up over time. So I was like, this is kind of cool. I put down $1,000 to secure the building and then started renovating, one space at a time. We plodded along for 2 years, and then 9/11 happened. And the internet bubble burst, and the stock market crashed, and I was like, oh well, this was a really bad idea. But a friend of mine wanted to open a restaurant in the corner there, so we renovated that space and put an ad in the paper that said, open house. We were mobbed. Like, 1,000 people showed up to see the building. It was like, oh my God. And people were like,
can I renovate a space in here?
and I was like, yeah, sure. There was this big box of chalk lying around the building for some reason. So I was just drawing lines on the floor going like, okay, this is gonna be your space. I found carpenters and I said, okay, everywhere there's a line on the floor, just build a wall. This is full-scale plans. That was the tip top. It really filled up and was successful. And it really started the White River Renaissance. Community is a structure in which you can plug into to help make life better for other people. Opportunity to contribute.
TikTok, open doors that were previously closed. Whoa! Art comes and the economy starts to grow. Slow. Other businesses inspired want to open up and hire. They want a piece of the pie, but people are shy. The problem is no one else is in the town where it happened. The town where it happened. The town where it happened. No one else is in the town where it happened. The town where it happened. The town where it happened. No one really knows how the game is played. If the risk will be worth it, how the bills will get paid. We heard that it happened, but no one else is in the town where it happened. White River Junction. We're spreading up and down the railroad. White River Junction. Things are starting up in that old factory. White River Junction. Drugs and crime are still around. People scared to come downtown. Rent is cheap. Now it's time. Rise up and claim what's mine. We dream of a brand new start, but we dream in the dark for the most part. We take a risk and it happens. We want to be in the town. We want to be in the town where it happens. We want to be in the town where it happens. We gotta be in the town.
Kim Souza, Revolution.
Revolution. I wanted something strong and meaningful, and what I liked about it was not only like the power to the people kind of revolution, which is important, but also the astronomical. Things going out and coming back again. Pieces of clothing making their own revolution, going out and coming back. Like the planetary revolution around the sun. My philosophy is, we love helping people, but we're not going to do it for them. Sometimes people come in with big insecurities. They're like, I have broad shoulders, nothing fits me.
My torso's too long.
And we'll be like, okay, look, we can do this together, but we can't do it for you. You have to work with us. So we help them find something, and they look in the mirror and they start crying because they feel like they look really good. That happens a lot. It's really sweet. It's a huge thing. You know that poster of a little cat hanging
hanging on a branch. It says, hang in there. That's kind of how we I think by hanging in there, just by pushing through some of the harder times, it's made it so that other businesses have been able to say, okay, Revolution's been able to manage. Maybe we can too. Our t-shirts say, White River Junction on the front, and on the back, they say, it's not so bad. Community is a lifestyle family. You have your family and your chosen family kind of thing, you know? It's the family you choose to live with every day.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web and he sighs, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
In this edition, James Sturm, Center for Cartoon Studies.
I loved cartooning. As a kid, I was obsessed with comics. I loved reading Peanuts and newspaper comics and superhero comics when I was older. When you make a comic, you just sit in a room, grab a piece of paper, and then draw all by yourself. And then exact revenge on all those who have wronged you. In 7th grade, I wanted to order mail-away comics, but I needed the money. So, I found the bank book in my dad's drawer, and I called up the bank saying, hey, I can't leave the house right now. Can you send me a withdrawal slip? I'll fill it out, and you can send me some cash. And the bank was like, okay. My parents found the bank book, and so I had taken out, you know, a pretty good sum of money. They thought I'd spend the money on drugs. I wasn't the greatest student, so they were afraid I was going to be a juvenile delinquent. I had my comics confiscated from me in school, and my parents barred me from bringing them into the house. So, I had to sneak them into my room. I mean, my parents were good, supportive parents. I don't want to make it seem like they're monsters. Only sometimes. Right now, I'm negotiating with the New York State Department of Education to print my comic, This Is What Democracy Looks Like. Part of me is like, yeah, that'll show those teachers for taking away my comics. This is me, getting back at you 40 years later, my comics in your classroom. Is a place where you feel like you belong. For me, White River was the first place I ever lived where I felt like a citizen. You know?
Morgan Perone, Valley Flower Company.
I went to art school for graphic design. I was working at a fancy job feeling very unfulfilled, working on the computer all day making charts and graphs for financial companies. It was extremely boring. The neighborhood flower shop in the part of Boston where I lived had a help wanted sign. So I went in there, and they were looking for someone who could clean buckets and sweep floors. I got that job and then learned how to make arrangements. I worked there for a while until I decided I wanted to go home and do it myself. One of my favorite flowers is called a mimosa. They look like little yellow pom-poms on a stick, and they smell like candy. I really love celosia, a family of flowers that look like velvet brains, really soft and fuzzy. There's some that look like fire, and some are pink and yellow. I also gravitate towards berries and grasses, all those weird textures. You guys want to hear about a bridezilla? Yes! Okay. So I delivered the flowers to this wedding. They were exactly the colors that they had approved. She had seen examples of what they were going to look like, and I delivered the bouquet to her room. She would not come out of the bathroom in the hotel room. She bawled for like 2 hours. Well, I sat outside like, I can fix whatever's wrong. She was screaming in the bathroom over that the shade of pink was the wrong shade of pink. Fuchsia! I coaxed her out of the bathroom, and I cut the flowers out that she didn't like. She had weird holes in her bouquet, and I just left. I felt bad for the groom. Community is a group of people with a like-minded want to better where they live.
Mural Oktay, Tucker Box, and Little Istanbul.
I am from Istanbul, Turkey. Istanbul is like the big city in Turkey, maybe in Europe, maybe in the world. I love to eat good food and good spices. I was working at a hotel and I was expecting to step up, earn some more money, but they said, your language is not enough English. I came to America by myself. I was 25 years old. I worked at the Mount Washington Hotel. I was working so hard and learning by myself English. I was buying DVDs and I subtitled them to learn as much as I can. The first time I couldn't understand. Then I watch, and then I start to love the movies. And then I start to understand. I did more than 400 movies. One of my favorites was The Godfather. Of course, Turkish food is one of the good food in the world. Mediterranean food. The Light King. You know, I should just maybe do a restaurant. Real Turkish food. I was telling everybody, hey, Turkish food, we have this, we have that, we have doner, we have kebabs. I was dreaming. And people were telling me,
I think you're homesick, always talking about the food.
I wanted to do good food with great people, to share the culture. That's my inspiration. I was dreaming with my heart. I find Tucker Box. The previous owners were planning to sell the place. I said, I love Tucker Box. I'd love to continue the nice coffee culture. I'd love to add Turkish coffee and tea selections, pastries, and eventually Turkish dinner. So we took over the Tucker Box. I looked at the lights, and when I was dreaming, I see it. Community is like a relative, like close friends.
Northern Stage.
Carol Dunn, producing artistic director.
Eric Love, director of education.
Irene Green, managing director.
I was an actress. When I was young, I wanted to be on Broadway. After grad school, I wanted to have a life. I ran the New London Barn Playhouse. That was my first time running a theater. I was 42 when I got that job. So I was old.
I was trying to get an acting job at Northern Stage by being like, I'll do anything. I'll even assist and direct. With my secret plan of being, oh, Eric's such an amazing actor. We should cast him in things. And my secret plan backfired because Carol was like, you should come be the director of education. And I was like, I don't know what that is.
I decided in 7th grade to pursue a career in theater. Made the decision and I didn't waver from it. Not that you have to. There are many ways to live.
I loved Judy Garland. I loved The Wizard of Oz. I grew up on those old-fashioned MGM musicals. I was kind of a shy kid, so I spent a lot of my time just listening to those records and singing along. One night, I heard this band playing when I was like 12 at a speech party. Grown-ups. They were really good. They sounded like Judy Garland type band, you know, jazzy. So I went up to them and I'm like, hey, I sing. And the trumpet player's like, yeah, what do you sing? And I was like, the man that got away? I was 12 in braces, like, the night is bitter. You know? And people listened, and I thought, oh my God, I think I can really sing. Isn't that funny? What's the lesson? Put yourself out there. I think our greatest days are our student days because you are tomorrow. You are the future. You are the hope.
I wanted to be a chef. When I was 16, I was interning at a 4-star French restaurant in New York City called Chanterelle. The pastry chef told me, cooking is really hard. You're in a kitchen 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, for minimum wage. If there's anything else you're interested in, you should do that first. So I said, okay, I'll be a cellist. And my own parents, both classical musicians, were like, listen, Eric, classical music is really hard. You have to practice months for just one recital, and it's really competitive to get into top orchestras. If there's anything else you're interested in, you should do that first. So I said, okay, I'll do musical theater. And everyone I knew was like, whoa, but theater is an impossible profession. If there's anything else, and I was like, no, I'm doing theater.
This place is rare. There are less than a dozen rural theater companies like this in the whole United States. I was attracted, like a moth to a flame. It's hard to step up and be one of the people where the buck stops with you. One of my goals right now is how I can lay the tracks of the train for the company to sail down smoothly. What I want is, if Northern Stage ever said, we're gonna close, that the community, many individuals, would rise up and say, no, that can't happen because I need you in my life. It's a challenge, but a joyful one.
Community is knowing and being known, loving and being loved, supporting and being supported, listening, holding close.
I think community is a group of people who love each other and trust each other and have each other's backs.
We can find joy and meaning as a community in ways that we cannot as individuals. Community is necessary to life, something to nourish, and a way to give back.
Hear, hear. Justin Barrett, piecemeal pies.
I've always wanted to be a chef or an architect since I was in 6th grade. If you can cook without a degree, you cannot build buildings. So I went to architecture school. I loved it. I didn't sleep for 5 years. Then I started working. But it was not very satisfying because you go from doing all of your own projects to like doing bathroom details on a computer all day. I was at this tiny little firm in Portland, Oregon, and we were above this tiny little restaurant. We had to go through the restaurant to take out the trash. So I remember going through the kitchen one day, watching them like segmenting blood oranges or something. And I was like, I just want to stay here and do this. So I made the switch.
My ideal meal is a rabbit and bacon pie with a sharp salad and a glass of hard cider at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The pie takes 3 days to make. My rabbit farmer came last week with a cooler full of bunnies. I also have a pet bunny. Is that weird? He's so adorable, his name is Stilton Chorizo. I can compartmentalize, it's fine. So I break down the rabbits. Then I brown big chunks of bacon and sear the rabbit in the bacon fat. Then I add red wine, rabbit stock, lots of thyme, and lots of thyme. Braising liquid overnight so it stays juicy. The next day I take it out and mix in the potatoes, the vegetables, and the herbs. That's the filling. By the end of day 2, we're filling all the pie shells. On the 3rd day, we bake them. We make about 80 pies a day. We don't have a wall between our kitchen and our dining room because I want people to see that cooking is real food. It's flour and butter and a wood surface. It's not some portal into a stainless steel dimension that food magically comes out of. It's real. Community is this. Being able to do this. You guys are the community, right? You guys genuinely care about us, and we genuinely care about you. This is community.
Sugar, 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 butter, sugar, butter, sugar, butter, flour, sugar, butter, flour, sugar. My hands up the things I know that I'll need. I'll take the sugar and butter from the pantry. Butter. I add the flour to begin what I am hoping to start, and then it's down with the recipe. Then bake from the heart. What's inside? The day starts like the rest we've seen. Another carbon copy of a new routine. Days keep coming, one at one, and they keep coming.
Ava's candy is bursting with kids.
I finally found what I was wishing for, and now there's so many folks coming through that door. We got so much to do, too much to do. All these new things, we're always opening up, letting the day in. Over a cup, we'll say hello. How you been? Looking around, seeing these great things every day brings. Hello, how you been? Thank you. Come again. This sounds feeling new.
Kate Campbell, Open Door.
Rachel Obar, Long River Gallery.
Nessa Cullen, The Collection.
Jamie Fletcher, Ava's Candy.
The most amazing thing is when someone comes to us pretty beaten down, having tried everything in healthcare, and they finally feel heard, listened to. When you work with me as a physical therapist, I might think maybe this person needs support around nutrition, or maybe they would like to take a yoga class or want to try Chinese medicine with acupuncture. I think that the arts are equally as important to someone's well-being. Being in theater, dancing, playing the violin, it's pretty inspiring to add that to your health.
I have to think about what kinds of art people like, what kinds of things will sell. And it's kind of 2 groups of people, tourists and locals. You'll notice a lot of the art is landscape. That's what people think about New England. Trees, leaves, water. I also try and create a community here with the artists as shop sitters. They also come in and spend some time helping to sell theirs and others' artwork.
I work at a law firm in Hanover, but this is my dream. Growing up, I used to always love vintage shops and thrift stores. I thought, how can I turn my passion for shopping into a career? So I opened this place with my friend who I went to high school with, and that's what we do. We shop and we sell. When we first got this place, it was completely empty and filthy. We literally painted every square inch, covered cracks, and made the racks out of repurposed barnwood. Now the place is absolutely perfect.
My daughter Ava has always been really big into candy and had the idea for a candy store. Ava's just a kid, but sometimes the simplest ideas are the best. My favorite candy in the store is lemon heads. Lemon heads are like an old man, very finicky. If they had a voice, it'd be like, "Get off my lawn." If they're too cold, they stick together. If they're too hot, they stick together. But when they stick together, they get a little softer and even more sour. And I like that, but some people don't, because you have to chisel at the lemon head bar. So sometimes I get to take an entire jar home for me.
Community is being appreciative of the fact that we are all interlinked.
A tide lifts all boats, right? So we're helping everyone, not in competition.
Community puts the roots into this town and holds people together.
My hope is that every day you try to make your community a little better than the day before.
Stephen Thomas, Fine Arts and Antiques.
I was a writer. I wrote 4 books, one of which is still in print, but I wasn't making a good living. Then I met Deb. She was dealing in jewelry and pottery and stuff, so I found a painting in Heartland that I bought for $1. And I went to the Sherman Art Library at Dartmouth, looked it up, and the guy was a known artist, Frank Desch. I ended up selling it for $300. That's what got me hooked on doing this. We'd go out to shows, yard sales, auctions, all over, and look for stuff. There's wonderful history out there. It's a treasure hunt. Decades later, I bought this painting back for $500. It was winter, and it was Christmas time, and we got a house call. It was a very simple home, and the people were great, really nice, but physically challenged. They wanted to sell us a picture, a family heirloom, their last valuable possession. They were giving up something they really loved. Didn't even look at each other. We bought it. We offered them a fair amount of money, and they were thrilled. We said goodbye, wished them a wonderful holiday, and all that. We walked outside, sat in the car, and didn't say a word. Then we went back, and we gave them the painting. We said, "This is our gift to you. If you are ever in a position to give something like this to someone else, do it." Community is a conglomeration of people, buildings, institutions, hopefully working towards a common good, caring about each other as well as yourself.
Surintin, Phnom Penh.
I'm originally from Cambodia. My dad came here for work because there are no jobs in Cambodia. He sacrificed for the whole family to come here.
We all really love food, getting together, cook a big meal. We want to bring something into White River because they don't have anything like us here. My favorite meal is mee curry. It has noodle, it has shrimp, it has fried tofu, it has lots of vegetables, and it's spicy. We never trained. We just learned from my parents. My parents loved cooking, so we learned from one generation to the other. It's not like real chef. We didn't go to school for it. We started out at the farmer's market in Hanover, in a small tent like 5 or 6 years ago. And then we moved up to a food truck. After that, we opened up a small shop in Lebanon, takeout only. And now we're open in this location that has sit down, so one step at a time. We've seen the growth of White River. It's diverse, and we feel that we're a part of it because it's like a puzzle. A complete puzzle if you have all the pieces. Some customers will come to White River for 2 days. They'll come here for lunch, then dinner, then back for lunch, back for dinner. And that makes us really happy. Community is the big support that we need.
Nikki Fortier, the village at White River Junction.
I was raised in this town, lived here my entire life. I'm currently the business manager here at the village. I was very inspired by the changes I've seen in downtown and just really want to be a part of it. I love the energy down here. I love the people and I love the theater, obviously. I remember a conversation I had with my aunt years ago. She's always been very big into community service, and I had young kids at the time. I remember her telling me, well, you know, when you have young kids, your priority is your family. That's who you take care of first. And when you can, you start taking care of your community. Even though it's a job, it feels like being able to give back to the community I came from. We currently have 24 residents, but we could have as many as 80 people living here. We bring intergenerationality to the community. As White River has grown and changed, there's a very young, hip, cool population, right? I love the idea of the interaction between kids, hipsters, and our seniors who live here. My favorite days are when we have live music and all the residents gather and listen because, well, music is the universal language, right? That is never more true than when you're working with seniors because more than half of our residents are in our memory care floor, which means they have Alzheimer's or some similar dementia. Some can still communicate, some can't, but you get music going for them. And well, my grandmother lives here actually. She's 91 and has dementia. But you play music for her, and she'll sing every word of every song from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You can open up the residents' lives through music. To the world.
Your dreams, you guys. I was 42 when my dreams came true, even though I didn't know they were my dreams until they became my dreams. You hear this growing up. If you do what you're passionate about, you'll never work a day. I love seeing kids come into the candy store. The kindness that you guys show each other, it gives hope for the future.
Trust that you have an idea that could possibly come true. They can really see it happen. It's all about dreaming.
From me to you guys, if you can dream it, you can do it. But always dream for the top, and don't be afraid.
Monet Nolan, I want to be a photographer for National Geographic to see the world.
Leah Hammond, I want to be a coder of apps and computer programs.
Grace Monroe, I would love to be an actor in musical theater.
Isaac Yukika, I want to own a business, or study law, or politics.
Hannah Malene, I want to be a famous movie actress, but not in a big city.
Joey Gow, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to change the world.
Erica Holmes, I'm not sure what I want yet. Still figuring it out.
Hugh Wembley, my dream is to be a pneumicist.
Tessa Collins, I want to be a guitarist and a singer in a band.
Eli Hoffer, my dream is to be on Broadway. I want to rise up, defy gravity.
Cordelia Javon, I want to be an architect. You get to hand off what you've created to other people, to make community.
We'll work hard and laugh and play as we grow up, striving every day to make our dreams come true, to build a world of magic and of wonder to share with you. And this is why we tell these stories, why we tell these stories, why we tell these stories. Why we tell these stories?